music this music is so god awful. Do you know how many people have switched teams on this shit? It's almost 5 o'clock. The spread's brutal. You drive a truck through it. Gaping spreads coming into the close. 10 seconds to brutal spread. Look at the bid ask on this thing, just went to 10 pips for a second. So the euro dollar is recovering from going down for how long now? You got a double bottom here. Spent 1 day down there. 1 day sale. This week only. This year only, maybe. So I'm going to buy here on limits, no stops. Add to my winner. Because the windows, you can't see the fucking balance. Windows is such bullshit. I chose high contrast and it fixed this background color, and it's uneditable. You have to pick templates and then edit only certain settings. It's a real joke. So the high watermark on this account was 32,000, so I was up 22 grand since I opened the account. No stops. You don't need any stops. Looks like we're going up from here. So just hold on to this till it tests this trend line here. You can always get out here. What if it's too late to get on the train? There's your double bottom today on the 1 hour. If you'd like to get in at a retest. Here's the big pivot contention here. If you go to the 1 hour chart, I had it on the 50-minute chart. It showed up pretty good. Alright, so you got this cute little support area. People have been buying here. So here's the trap. Last 15 minutes you could have bought here in this trap. Deep discount. You got to get out of something here. But since the spread's god awful, you can't even get out there because this is the ask. That's why you can't really you can only make so much money trading because there's only so many big waves and these little waves here. Like, if you're on the 1 hour chart, are you telling me that you sold here? Where this bottom became a top? I guess you could have put a limit in there. A couple and said, I'm going to confirm downtrend. Of course, it overshot your trend line. Or you could say this is your downtrend. waited for this. If you missed that train, you could have waited for this bottom become a top. You got to put your order in here based on this trend line. Didn't really come back to that. Sure went slicing down there. Looks like the buyers are coming in now. There'll be sellers here tonight. It's a big contention point now. Next contention is this doji. We gotta take this out. Look, it's still right down here, so that's why I'm going to add to this if it comes back. So far, here's the 4-hour story. Let's see. So you can't really see the wicks here very well, but if you did, if you just had an order sitting here pending to buy on a pullback, you would have got filled there. So there was still a chance to get in here. You can barely see the wicks. It actually came back this far, so you would have got filled even if with a bad spread. Then you probably would have cashed out. Well, here's a wick high. Sellers came in, the trap sellers came in here. I think they've had their fun. We retested this doji. So we got a double bottom here. We got a triple bottom on the hourly. We've already broken this super steep line. This is the new line to break. That's about it. It's as simple as that. God knows how much further they can, well, it's just going to be a long creeper gear ride, I think. I don't know, how much money are you ready to lose? French living? Is it legal to live like a Frenchman in Bulgaria? I'm sure there's some kind of... Don't they have a rule about cultural appropriations or something? You know they're big on that here. They catch you with too much pasta. They tax you. Let me see, how can we rectify this? Surely we can call the French authorities and have you taxed at like a roaming tax, like they had on the phones. If you had a roaming fee, we'll have a roaming fee. That's what we'll have. We found you out of your country. Go back to your dorm. Go back to your room. How dare you try to dual culture, dual citizenship. Can't you have a global, all those people that are worried about the global thing, can't you get like a global pass? I think if you're an alien from another planet, shapeshifters. So, look at this entry. Look at this monster pivot here. Wow. Just so stupid. I think the problem here is the volatility, though. Look how sharp this down move is. And once you take out this, it's like yikes. Just go smashing through that. Comes down and and grabs these stops. Amazing. That's the rock bottom price. That is literally rock bottom. What's astounding is this market came into this window here. It looks just like nothing. I must have these tickets at least 30 pips apart or more. I know these add-on tickets are we're up like 50 pips, at least up 70 pips from that. Look at this weekly. Fuck. Is anybody selling this on the weekly? Look at how many times you would have got raped trading the breakout. Here's one trap. How many times have you tricked into this sell? Look, it's going down finally. I'll sell here on confirmation. That's a really good idea. Hey, I never thought of waiting for confirmation. It worked here. What worked here? I told you wait for it to sell. And then we made all this money here. And then you moved your stop to break even, and actually you gave it the market enough room that we got stopped out and took a loss. So, what's the question? What's the answer? Look at, I'm about to get filled on this damn stopless order. Maybe it really is going to go to the floor. Holy shit, look at the monthly. Look at this thing. Good Lord. Everybody's out. Anybody that was anybody's already out. They got out right there. We've actually been to here. Unbelievable. Now what? Shut the border. Shut down the government, for God's sakes. Enough already with this fucking government shit. This looks like it's gonna break up into this hole. Is anybody in this CAD? Double bottom on the CAD. That's why I could never trade multiple currency pairs. Because I would trade this. I'd buy here, and I'd also be thinking, well, what is the euro doing in comparison? It looks like everything's going up to me. Of course, this should be going down if the euro's going up. Gosh, I only see one sell in here. If you sold this fractal here, then you hit cover here at this, or the new buyers are buying here. New buyers, old sellers, revolving door. Well, I think it's top becomes bottoms and bottoms becomes tops is my current, I would say this is the crudest version. Of course, another problem is that I think this is a 100 pip grid in here. Okay, it's 100 pips from here to here. You got to figure out which top and bottom you want to trade. So, say you wanted to trade the Swiss franc on the daily chart. Now, this you're gonna wait forever to get filled on this shit, and you might get stomped out. But if you were to scalp these currencies, I would on the daily chart. I'd scalp it on the edge here. I'd get in. I'd sell here at the very edge where people can't fucking believe it, right? In other words, the window between close and the wick window, I just call it the wick window. Anything between, okay. This closing price and the highs. If you chop that off, okay, that would eliminate. Now you can't just buy on these wicks and expect to ride this thing forever. In other words, if you bought new lows, say, on the daily chart, okay, this is a scalp fill, and then it goes up. You got to get the fuck out of something. Otherwise, you're going to ride it all the way down to here, and you could buy new lows, okay? You could have an order sitting at this, in this void. So the only thing I'm paying attention to is this vacuum hole here. Look at there's holes in the market that are created by low volatility. So first you have to find the lowest volatility candle on here and ask yourself, even though it's a daily chart, if you get a low pip, and this could be Sunday night on here, so it could be kind of a bad chart for this example. That's the smallest bar in this whole array. The only other small bar here, would you kind of be trapped on the long side technically? So mechanical trading systems work because they're so fucking stupid. In other words, this is small, the smallest bar. The trend traders are getting in here. That's not a good color, is it? Fuck. Okay, it's just kind of a, this is kind of a bar by bar trading system because you don't know the future, and you got to have a trading plan that's robust enough and it's simple enough and it's crude enough and dumb enough to survive stupidity, like just good old fashioned dumb trades that everybody's seen in the textbook, but you don't need to back test it because we all know that the ratio between this bar here, expansion of volatility, if you're going to put a sell stop here, and fuck, what if you put a sell stop here on this baby bar and you put a buy stop above it? When it gets to here, well, if it gets to here and you get out, you still risk more than you made, your potential risk. But if you trail the stop after, say, 12 hours, you put a stop. Well, what if you stayed for 2 days? And you also could see that this is the place you've got to sell because this is the new high window. And anything above this close, in other words, there's a million places to get out. That's why you probably want to trade more than one ticket on entry. This is your exit window. If you make this a box, make it thicker. It's all psychological how you make these boxes, I suppose. This is my sell window. And so you know there's sellers up here. Eager sellers are going to sell early. But the ultimate cheapskate's going to put his order up here and hope that the market fills him. And he does get filled. And the guy that put his order here, and he knows that he has to get out. Another thing, if you're on the daily chart and you're trying to make 20 pips, you're going to have to fix the scale and try to stretch this to a realistic. It is fucking set, damn it. Okay. In other words, you're looking at this. It never makes it to the 100-yard line, so you don't even worry about that. But say you got filled up here, and you know you got filled, right? Because this is the bid, so you know you got filled. The ask could have been brutal. We don't know what the ask was. It could have been a news event. But if you did get in here on a sell limit, you know your first exit, to not overdo it, has to be here. Your next exit has to be here because this is the last known top. If tops become bottoms, it would work both directions. This is also a place you'd expect it to come back to. Maybe it comes back to here and ricochets off that, but you know, these are all, you got to figure on closing prices. Definitely this is the greedy exit. And of course, the next exit's going to be this wick top, okay, because you know this exists. And ultimately, if you consider this top, okay, all tops matter, all bottoms matter, because this is the top that it's coming back into, that the buyers are buying here, right? I'm sure this is a top of some, it's definitely a top in volatility in that bar. So there's buyers there, even though it overshoots, right? It probably cuts down lower. So if you have a trailing buy stop running without regard to volatility, then you're gonna get filled. You're gonna take on more risk, right? You have a buy stop here. You have a buy. Now they trap you here, right? So you gotta really In the long run, this made money, right? Because it went way the fuck up here. But you seriously going to tell me that you put a buy stop here and a sell and a protection here, and you took on that much risk? Are you nuts? Why would you bother? Right? You could drop down to the 4-hour chart and trade that. But I said if you had to, if someone put a gun to your head and said you must make a living on the daily chart. Now here is a perfect triple top, you could say. It becomes a bottom. Right now, it doesn't have to be the line chart. The line chart is telling you the closing price, so that is the real, I mean, it's a hammer up here. You know, the fact that this is an inverted hammer and that this is an engulf here of some type after, it's too late. Fuck confirmation. You have to be buying. If you're bullish, you're buying the stop hunt. And what's the stop hunt? Well, here's one, but then it goes and hunts deeper. It never, actually, it stop hunts this. See the stop hunt? So if you have a ticket sitting here, you know that maybe the news came out here, and maybe you didn't get filled because the ask was up here when that happened, but that is the place to get in. It's this window here, the trailing, you have instead of a, this is where all the cheap people have their, I mean the people that are running protection against their position. So if you're going to sell this thing right now, the spread's brutal right now. It's like 10 pips. Put a sell stop here and a buy stop here. Now that buy stop's about to get filled. So every time you place your, look at the strategy, don't forget you can never see the ask price. These are all bid prices. So it's kind of bullshit to say, well, I would have bought here. Well, no, not unless you, I mean, you're underwater right off the bat here if you get filled there. That's why these orders have to disappear, these buy stops. The buy limit's a better ticket because that yellow line has to get, you're picking how deep it's got to go. The spread's got to tighten for you to get filled to here. So your limit, I have a limit bot that makes money, that makes decent money because it gets in so fucking deep. Yeah, it's a buy low, sell high strategy. The problem is, I think it's about position sizing and how instead of buying a precise number, you're going to buy an area. So what if you could afford to get filled on tickets that were down here? In other words, if you kind of like, you know, you wouldn't drive your car on red line all the time, would you? Maybe you would. So you'd be long right now. If you were telling me that your robot put a buy stop above this bar, you're long, you're in, and you're not even, now the spread's tightening up because you come in towards the bottom of the hour here, it's going to tighten up on these brokers. Even this is Oanda. The United States is going to crush you on the Swiss francs, almost unscalpable at this time of day. It's ridiculous. I think CAD's got it tighter. But yeah, this is the problem, is that if a lot of people say, I like that idea, and as soon as you go to another currency pair, don't forget there's a whole checklist of bullshit. I mean, look at this 4-hour chart. My God. Not to mention the people that are charting like this. You just got to ask yourself, what the fuck are you thinking? Like, well, let me see if I can find a trade. How do people even see a fucking trade in here? Are you nuts? Look at this triple bottom insanity here before it goes up and fills this void. But I'm really about the vacuum. When it fills this vacuum and it's satisfied, now you could tell me all day long, well, this is like, don't forget, this is a week. Every vertical dotted line's a week on this damn thing. So the truth of the matter is, this is what the market really looks like. It's like, what do you do now? What's the next move? You know? Now, if you're bullish, this is a double top to you. This is a top become a bottom, and your goober bot has gotten filled here on a breakout, and you're long. Maybe you've got to stop here. That's your classic thing, but don't forget, the market could come down here tonight when Asia opens and pile into this zone. Are you prepared to add to your position? Are you that bullish? You got to be pretty committed to, if you're a bias trader, if you're trading that bias. Of course, we all know that all the best sells are going to be here. Sell high, and actually you're going against the turtle traders. You're actually a counter turtle trader, because a turtle trader would go long here. He'd actually go long on the breakout. Hopefully he just went long. So he's looking for this void to fill, and he's assuming this void is going to fill, and he doesn't care if he gets filled here at confirmation. There's only two ways to trade this. You either wait for confirmation or you don't give a fuck. I think the confirmation people are probably, I think I got a 10 pip grid here on top of this 100. Yes. You got to ask yourself, it's like Dirty Harry, you got to ask yourself, how many shots did I fire? You can be both people, though. You can be a confirmation. If you split your ticket, you could put a confirmation trade on here. You could have a non-confirmation. Well, confirmation. This is also a confirmation. If it buy limit here, you got filled on a limit on confirmation. But most people thinking confirmation is, I want to see the market. Let's say you put a buy stop here, and you have a sell stop here. What you're going to tell me is, I made money. And when I saw it go up here, I said, well, there's confirmation. Look, it made a new high, and it's bullish. And this is almost how I feel that Forex Hangout guy would trade like this. It's making higher highs until it isn't. But that's just that statement floating in midair means nothing in kind of a trading way, because you gotta do better than that. Let's hope. Not to mention, what is the cause for this rally to this point here is the fact that the market went down. I'm missing I can't really paint it here, but I'm using this to just emphasize the vacuum that's forming. And here's the little mini vac here. Like, this is a fake breakout kind of thing, trapping people as far a chart. And then here's the vacuum gets filled upon this rally, and it satisfies that void. You know, another confirmation entry would be if a buy stop here, and of course this is the ultimate. You're trapped. I mean, this is a classic place where the limit guys are getting filled, even the goober guys are getting filled, and that's probably what's fueling this move, is that, I mean, we didn't take much thought to figure there's probably a moving average of some manner that's been, like, we're all aware of this giant move up, and it's like, holy shit, let's buy on pullbacks. Like, who's not fucking buying on a goddamn pullback? But, you know, it never makes it back to this top. So people are forced to buy every pullback they can. So they buy the 4-hour pullback at the market. Guys are buying this one. They're long here. They bought this one. They did not buy this rally. The only people that bought that are people like, oh, got confirmation, it's going up, I'm going to add to it. Then they bought here. And then they wrote it out, and they probably bought here, maybe this bar here. Right, the people that buy on pullback. So they would have bought this just now. They would have bought that inverted hammer that fell into this hole, so it filled the vacuum. It's also a structure entry, so there's a lot of reasons. That's the pivot. And what is standing in front of this is for the vacuum to fill here and for it to take out this trend line on close and to keep pounding north. And I'm sure that if you're really bullish, you're thinking about this void up here, right? And I do think the dollar is going to get creamed, only because, I hate to say fundamentally, but think about it. What have they done to that dollar? Go up in the borders, print more money. But, I mean, if you look at the monthly structure of the New Zealand dollar, Look at this entry here. Had you waited for this trap to fill, and you're getting into reversals, which some people can't think about getting in a reversal. They want to trade with the trend, but I don't even know what the trend is at this point. I think it's down on the monthly into this thing. So it's a trend into it. But holy shit, we filled this thing, and now we're above that. Can we re-dip in there? I'm gonna, I guess, in the long term. Well, you really got to wonder New Zealand dollar here. And of course, this whole last 2 years have just been treading water. But we are below this thing, right? And where's this thing going? I guess I don't care, but you know, that's why I think trend trading sucks. Like, look at this. You trend traded that? How'd that work out for you? You're hooked, huh? You're hooked with, yeah, are you angry like me? Yeah, I would definitely scale into that. Like, even here, only because I don't want to miss out, so I have fear of missing out. So I cured my fear of missing out real easy. I just got in, and then I would just put limits below it. So anything I was going to trade on here, say I was going to trade this guppy. This is a account I'm trading in one direction. Because the United States account, I'm trading in one direction. So I wrote a script that only grabs these spikes. And look at it barely got filled. And if this order, see, the system I'm running, automated system I'm trying to build is, you see these balls? Let's imagine there's a stop, master stop down here. And those balls last all week. This market comes down into here. And that was actually, the robot just dropped that. I did not pick that. But as you can see, all this is ripe for the pickings. Now, I can run the robot right now and show you how it can make a considerable amount of money. I just wrote one with a really greedy exit, and it takes advantage of this move by just throwing in automatically limit orders above and below. So it could have made money from this. The only problem when it's gonna get crushed is, let's say, it can't handle all these orders here. Looks like the British pound's going to keep going. The guppy's going to go north here a little bit. I think the scalpers came in earlier. If I fix this scale, I can drill down on this thing a little bit. The guppy. I don't know if anybody trades the guppy, but look at this monster sell-off near the end of the week. This is that one frisky move, and I bet the spread sucked there. But it takes a lot of balls to buy this thing as it's crushing down, because that's 100 pip crush practically below. That's 80 pips of punishment there. And look how it just completely doesn't give a fuck about any moving averages or anything. It just goes ripping down and ripping back up. Now, to me, that's a full tilt auction. And if it engulfs this thing, if it keeps churning north, it comes all the way up and retests this, it'll be just a psychotic move just like this one. And a lot of people like to point back on the chart for those instances, but this is the same situation. The people come in and buy that, and they dump it right here into the floor. This is the big pivot on close. The wick overshoots on this currency pair. This currency pair is brutal. But look how it makes a new low into this top here, almost at the 100-yard line. Then it rips all the way up, and people are like, well, I'll just sell it here. On this rooftop, oh yeah, okay, you're good for a few bucks, but then, yikes, look at that thing just... Then you try to do that same trade plan in here, and you're like, holy shit, are you really ready for the brutality of this guppy? And of course, these orders have been sitting here, I don't know how long. They're set up to last all. I'm using CCI here, trying to run CCI. Yeah, so I don't know. Let's see. I'm not paying attention to this. Yeah, it's kind of a so let's go back to the euro dollar. I'm trading this thing on this demo. Okay, so this chart's really disturbing because it's hard to see the wicks, and so if you're used to volatility charts, this is not going to work, you know, because it's kind of scary to just see closing prices. It's a tick chart essentially. So if I go to the 1 minute chart and I zoom out, you can kind of see the structure on the 1 minute. You can't see it from this closing. Just forget about the wicks. I treat it like a tick chart. So this is the vacuum that's been filled currently. We didn't quite make it to here, but it wicked into that. You can't see it, but I consider this to be the vacuum because there's a shelf here. But it's all quiet and squiggly here. Look at this trap here. This would be the confirmation guys getting trapped here. Oh, look, it's going up. Of course, the spread was brutal then. Now go to the 5 minute chart. It's gonna 5 times 5x. All of a sudden, it's gonna look ridiculous. Oh, everything I just drew on there, but I think that's why trading's hard, because this 5 minute chart looks very. There's so many setups in there, and I'm so zoomed out. Like this is max zoom out. But at this time of night, so I see the half-hour chart. If I was afraid of missing out, I would just buy right here, and I put limits in just like that. And that's it. Because otherwise, I'm going to feel like, if this fucker goes up, and I'm not in it, I'm going to kick myself, so why would I want to do that? So if I tell myself I only buy every 50 minutes it pulls back, you kind of got to give yourself a trade plan that fits your anxiety level. So if you like to trade at the market, then you'd have to say, well, fuck, I better sell. Of course, you have to babysit it too, because you won't be there to pull the trigger. But if you know that this is a high, or even if it gets above here and you go, oh God, I'm going to sell if it gets up here, because that's a trap. Now, whether you pull the trigger at the market or you set limits in there is a different mindset, I'm sure. If you sell that and you're like, oh fuck, it's going higher. Now, if you sold too big here and you didn't have enough bullets left, if you have some dry powder, you can pull the trigger again and again and go, fuck them. Yeah, fuck them. It's going down. 50-minute chart, and you better be prepared to start cashing out when it comes back and starts filling this vacuum. So it's kind of like a vacuum. The market gets to an edge, and you know, just the fact that it went to the edge, it causes a vacuum. That's a side effect of a rally, is the void it leaves behind, like this one here. And of course, if you're really bullish and you thought, well, this thing's just going to keep going to the moon, the logical thing to do is just to put some orders in here, or at least put them in. If you're going to just trade one ticket, then put a fat ticket maybe here, and this big giant top that correlates to the 30-minute. The nice thing about taking the wicks out is that you can see, okay, there's a top here, right? Just if you look at the line chart only, you can see the void. This void, here's the fill of that, pulls back to that breakout point. And now it looks to me like, well, the dollar's kind of in trouble, I suppose, in the big picture this year, coming into this year. Also, you're coming into the elections, so you got 2 years left, and people got to move their money, I suppose. Look at how long, look at how long this trend was going down here, just dripping down. It was incredible, man. The thing just kept dripping. But boy, when it got to this is when everybody was like, holy shit. And even if you got in here, below here, you at least made that. And if you stayed until it made it back to this double bottom, wow. But see, that might be too much for our charts. So it depends. On the daily charts, you know, this is max zoom in. I got Windows pushed up 200%, so I'm pushing Windows to make MT4 look like it used to do before all these high-res monitors kind of ruined the world of charting. It's okay for a movie, but this is the true reality of the market is. It's been going down for like 1, 2, I'm going to just say this is a down day, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 days down. There are some up days in there, but 11 days down. And this was the quiet Sunday bar. There's Monday's complete. Now it comes Tuesday. So if I go to the wicks, now here's the daily chart with the wicks taken into account. So we just filled this little vacuum here. And the scalpers have already made their money. Anybody that shorted this rooftop on the daily is already cashed out because now they're at break even and now they're forced to buy it back in Asia. Most likely, right? Anybody that tried to stand in the face of this fill to come, and of course this will be the next place to put sell limits for a scalp. And we still haven't taken out this rooftop, so actually there's quite a bit of pent up pressure here. Vacuum pressure off this top, and then this one overlaps, so there's an overlapping vacuum void pressure here, and this will be the hardest one to fill, the steep one right to the round. But that is the big floor structure wise on closing prices. It's going to be a big choppy, and so we can still rip back here tonight. So if you can just go up about 10 more pips here, we'll start to come after that, but we still might rip back when London opens, come back and backfill this thing. So the question is, would you rather take your 15 grand and run and just dump out, go flat, put limits in here, put sell limits up on top, wait for them to tag you, or maybe put on a hedge here, you know, I don't know, because it depends what you can handle psychologically. Yeah, but I would definitely, of course, if you're, now the fun thing is to take this daily chart and zoom it in super big so it doesn't make any sense. And then go through the time frames. So you're right here, go to the 4 hour, you're like, oh, I see, that makes sense. 4 hour makes sense. And the 1 hour is just, you know, you almost have to zoom that out to make sense of it. But this is as far as I'd go, because at this time of day, the 4 hour and the daily, the 4 hours is the only thing that really makes sense, because you wouldn't be over trading to buy here or even to buy on this trend line. You could have bought here at this trend line here and not, you still have to survive that wick, but maybe you had limits there too. So you can have 3 trading styles going at once. I would have certainly held through the blowout of this. As soon as it took out this fractal, and then it started to take these out like a zipper, and that was a pretty vicious move, you know. It made it to here, and it paused, and there was one more blast, and then it did come ripping back off of that. Never made it to this. We only made it to that once. So what we have left in the vacuum mill is this stuff. We could still come back and stop hunt anybody that's trying to buy really big into this, thinking, oh yeah, I can see what you're saying. Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we could come back to this. So there's still a danger for, you know, you could still just rip into that. Or just keep ripping down. There's really no guarantees. So, you know, you almost figure they are going to stop out these two areas by the time London comes up, you know. So if you have a limit down there, you're slightly long. Maybe you do have a dumbass buy stop on top of this confirmation that it's going to keep going up. So you bought one at the market, you have one on stop and one on a limit, and that way you figure which one you're more comfortable with trading. If you bought one, what I like to do is buy one at the market and one on a limit, because then I've locked in the fact that I'm going to be in this trade. And only if it's 1K, like I would just to trick myself, I buy 1K here and put 1K's 10 pips apart. 1K's 1 pip apart for the next 2 hours all the way down. So basically, if it drops 80 pips, you know, you're going to be in an 80K. But if it only drops 20 pips, I'll be in a 20K, whatever, you know. So here is the 15-minute chart just updated. So if you're really... So we just got this. This is the 5 o'clock bad spread. So we couldn't have got this price, I don't think, if we wanted, because the ask never made it below that. But here's the current situation: is you can draw a trend line here on the 15-minute chart, because you just completed that candle. Now we're looking for it to go up here and start filling that void. Since they've already kind of trapped the bulls there, in other words, the bears have already gotten their fill on limits, and a lot of people bought this haul because they probably would never get filled down there. But yeah, so this is all marked off. And that's a 15-minute chart. That's about as thin as I'd slice it. 15-minute chart. Otherwise, just pretty much kill yourself. You can kind of see this entry here. You could have taken that on the 15. Get a buy limit sitting here, and of course on the clock you would have just had to pull the trigger there. And just like here, you would have pulled the trigger 15 minutes ago. But I wouldn't buy now. I wouldn't chase it. I guess it depends, you know. If you did have a buy stop here, that's why if you trade multiple tickets, you really wouldn't care. You have a buy stop here, confirmation, but you're going to buy into it. And when they fill you, your confirmation will only be 10% of your overall position. But ideally, you're going to wait for them to smash it down like this and raid this price and get this entry here and maybe dump it there after it went up for like a half an hour. Just get the fuck out. This would have scared the shit out of you if you were buying this hole here. Say you had limits in here and you put them, if you put the limits in too tight, because you're looking at this, maybe this is your top. Like this is the top it took out, so you're figuring a retest is going to slam back in here. But look how hard that thing came down. Like I said, if you're able to buy, if you can afford to buy a bigger smash, if you're prepared to buy that much and you only got filled in the top level of that, then you just, you know, it would just feel better, I guess. I guess it's how you feel in the end, because boy, look at that monthly though. I just can't imagine selling the monthly here. Survive that pivot. Here's your out of the box. This is so cute. This is what the broker wants you to trade with. I remember the first time I brought up a platform of MT4. I looked at that and I go, "You're kidding!" This is before, actually, there was no one click back then. It just looked like this. You had to actually, yeah, you couldn't just pull the trigger. I don't think. You had to get like a special template for that. And look how they gave you this hodgepodge. Here's your MACD bullshit. Wow. How brutal. Yeah, that's tough sledding, MACD. Here, nothing. Naked trading. Well, here's your CCI 14, for God's sake. I guess here at least I can see a divergence. Right there. And of course, here's your bizarro. What does this say? 21 moving average. Look how this thing... I just don't know how people do a moving average. Like, how do you explain this part here, this punishment? I don't even have a rectangle available. Maybe if I use my fib tool. That's a ticket. How's anybody using Fibonacci? I just don't know. I've tried it for hours on end. It only works if you're really hammered, I think. Then you just like, oh, that looks good right there, yeah. I know people live by it. But I said, well, you wouldn't take it to the discotheque, would you? I'm going to dance with that girl. Did you see her Fibonacci numbers? Oh my God, I'm dancing with her. You can make Fibonacci babies. Okay. I don't know. This cat's like trapped. Look at this poor cat. It's just like, oof. What a brutal currency to trade. Look at this. It's a fucking mess. Look at this cat. It's just trading sideways in a 10 pip range for the whole fucking day. What the hell's going on here? So the question is, are we going to fill this hole or are we going to fill this hole down here? So like the CCI, I got it set to 3, so it's nice and... I see a double bottom in the CCI. I got divergence right here in the CCI. Here's a reversal. So using that RSI positive reversal, here's a reversal in CCI. You probably don't get one in RSI there, maybe. You don't get any. Here's a divergence. What kind of? Of course, this is so hard against the top. At 100, there's a double top. You just kind of have. Here's a divergence. I set the CCI to closing prices, though. It's still taking into account the volatility. That's why CCI is not like RSI. Let's see here. The weekly CAD. Boy, it sure looks bullish here, though. Like the dollar's just going to crush Canada. Like this is the last top become a bottom on the monthly. And now it's just about going up. Just marching north. Same thing with the yen. I think the dollar is going to crush the yen. As bad as the dollar is. But I don't know. I think the Australian dollar is above the water table now. This is the top. If this top bottom holds, you get the same scenario as you do on the New Zealand. This is the next void here. So the buyers that come in there are pretty hard. That's the void that's pending below. Looks pretty scary. Yeah, Robinacci. Where's my Robinacci guy? God, you know, he took down that video. It's too bad I don't have the raw original of that. That would have been just really a good... it's a good background. I wonder if I could sue YouTube for their free music. It's so god-awful. Like, sue them for mental distress. What do they call it? Pain and suffering. Good I'm going to give him some of my free music. God, it's almost like it's written by a robot. Just set it in front of the synthesizer and let it play dumb shit all day. It's like a bad EA, this fucking music. Good Lord. Yeah, so it's pretty dead this time. But we're waiting for the top of the hour to come in here. See if we can get some action. Some kind of crazy stuff coming into Asia. The 1 hour charts are going to update here in 5 minutes. Yeah, so it's that time of day. I should order out for food. I don't want to end up like that gay guy over in Chicago. They had to beat up. The news is so fucking hilarious now. This guy who's supposedly gay and supposedly black was walking around in Chicago trying to get himself a Subway sandwich a foot long. And 2 Nigerian action figures attacked him. It's the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. And now the guy's like, how dare you make fun of my beating. Oh my God, it's too funny. Pay him $3,500 I don't know, $3,500 a piece to beat the shit out of him. Kind of reminds me of that movie Dirty Harry, where Dirty Harry's trying to kill this dude. Guy gave somebody $100 to beat the shit out of him, and they said, Dirty Harry beat me up. And the cops are like, what'd you do to him? The original Dirty Harry movie. Guy, yeah, $3,500. He was going to give him $500 when they came back from Nigeria. But what are you thinking, man? It's incredible. There's a guy that needed to trade Forex. Instead of walking around, he should have been placing a limit order instead of getting a Subway sandwich. You know, it's like, even if he blew up his account, he wouldn't have got that scratch on his cheek, and he wouldn't have had to go on national TV and tell all sorts of fantastical stories. Looks like we're going to drift up. He should have picked white guys. He should have hired some real rednecks. Like mega Make America Great Again tattoos on their decks. Well, jeez, I don't know. I should call the Subway. I don't want to get beat to death. Forced me to give up my trading account. They want the withdrawal PIN number. It's sub-zero. The wind chill in Chicago is like fucking 30, 40 below. That's when I get a hankering for a Subway. Give me a Subway sandwich. Okay, 2 minutes to spare. I don't know what to tell you. This is what time people eat. In 1 minute, people will start serving meals in the United States. I don't know if people call it supper or dinner. Just a proper... Looks like Australian dollar is gonna sell off into the. Is there news coming out? That can rock that currency pretty good. Go to the old Forex factory. See what they're saying. Oh, the German Booba. Booba. Who's Booba? Oh, monetary policy's coming out at 7:30 in Australia. That should be pretty vicious. Oof. Anybody that's short into that could be just holding on through this whole thing. That should be pretty vicious. The monetary policy minutes. That's all I see for the oh, this fucking circus music. Don't they have anything better in here? Like a really hot girl posing in front of candles. It's just not helping. God, this pound looks so bullish. Was it Brexit over? Am I still hashing that bullshit out? Would it make a difference? Wow. What's going to happen next year? Is this a hole to be filled by this pound? Boy, they really punished that pound, didn't they? That's above here, though. Fuck, this 2016 lows down here. Look at this monster trend line we broke. Still got this trend line. I just call that a volatility. It's just marking off this void. Just makes this more obvious, this vacuum up here. So all this pent up. So that one's filled. We still got a void down here though. Boy, this guppy looks like it's just gonna rip north. Look at this thing. Anybody selling here? If you're selling there, your target's gonna be, you're claiming we're coming back to this. Phew, I don't think so. If that's the case, if you really believe that, you put a buy limit there. Wow, that thing is just pissed off, ready to go up. Got a double bottom on the hour. This thing's itching to go up. Wow. A lot of sideways action. Looks like the Euro's got another rally left in it. I don't know, when the news comes out here, monetary policy could be brutal. This is where you'd want to put you can make some quick and dirty money by putting limits down here and limits above. Just got to have your targets set. I don't think you have time to get out of it. The only problem with you'd have to pre-plan this whole thing with limits, because when the news comes out, there's no way they're going to take your market order without slippage. It's first come, first serve if you got your limits in there. And when your stop's all pre-programmed, set a trap. Otherwise, I just don't think you could. You're just going to get the worst fill in the world. Looks like we're filling this little mini vac on the 15. We just broke out, so we would already been long here. So, since there's no expiration on this ticket, I'm going to delete it, because otherwise when London opens, if they rip it down into here, I really don't want to get filled until it comes back to this thing. Or lower. So I would just delete this ticket also. Because I really want to buy it if it comes down to this price. I want to get into that trap there. Looks like we're just going to keep cutting north now. So this is the double bottom. Looks like the rest of the week we could be going after this zone, into this hole. I think a lot of people are going to cash out here. There should be sellers there. And even here, you can scalp off the top of that. It's always scary to do that because, you know, you're like, what if it keeps going up? Well, you say the same thing when it's going down. You count on it. Just plan on it ripping through your orders. Look at how these the tops of these 4-hour. There's so much pent up void here. It's gonna be nuts. That's a huge zone. So we could still backfill. I mean, you could go down here for God's sakes, but like you gotta ask yourself, was this the low? Like, is this insane? Not too deep. 12.50. $12.50. The daily looks more possible. So the daily correlates. You know, you have these voids based on the volatility of that sheer move down. It's sure going to take a lot to take out these highs. A lot of zigzags to cut through that. So the trailing buy limits I'd run now would be buying below yesterday's low and limits to catch something here. The 4-hour, it's like right here yesterday, you know, starting off here. So, but the 4-hour vacuum looks more like this. Where's the daily? It's way up here, so that's why I figure I just put buy limits all the way down. Now, how close are you going to trail them? Say I bought 1K and then I put in 40K in limits there, spread out. In case it rips back. I guess it's a surprise. You know, this, look how slow creeper gear this move is. That's like 5 days of just agonizing drip down, and then finally it blows out this it blows into this window here, and the scalpers come in, they ride it back to that, and then there's one more assault that takes out this low on the bid at the round number, and then wow, that's the most profound reversal in one day. Let's just imagine you put in a retail stop here, you know, because this is last no low. You're risking this much to make this much, and you got filled in one day. One day it went down here, you're in, and you're up in one day 100 pips. But then, of course, psychologically, you want to replicate that. So you would do the same tactic here, say. You have a trailing buy limit here, and you get filled, and you think, oh, it's going to the moon, and it only makes it up to here, to the round number, and you're thinking, well, God, man, what about this? This is where you get in trouble. You're like, oh, no, it's definitely going to go here. No, it's going to go here. And then it's going to keep going. But it doesn't. It comes all the way back to the fucking starting gate and below. This is where you got in. And now it's here. And like the whole time that this was, I'm just saying, it could happen. And you bought here. And you're like, oh no, that thing's going up. Or maybe you put a stop here. So you at least made that much money. But what if you didn't? And you're like, oh well, fuck, I'm going to give it some room. So you move your stop to here. They stop you out. And then you see it go up. And then when it comes back here, you're like, fuck, I'm just too tired from getting beat to shit. I'm not going to buy this. And then it goes up. And then you're thinking, well, I back-tested a system that says I should only buy when I see an engulfing pattern with a moving average of 21. You can see how ridiculous that would be. You'd never, if you're waiting for that setup on the daily, you might wait a lifetime to, and this is presupposing you have the balls to pull the trigger and the sizing that make it worth your while and the stop. That's 2% of your account. I mean, all this stuff is so harebrained to think about. I love it when these people have this stuff. It's like these things they'll talk about. Anybody on the internet talk about anything. Here's what you do. Oh, okay, that's what you do. I've seen a lot of people do bad stuff too. I was stringing a guitar. I saw this other guy the other day. People highly produced things with really good video. You know, he was stringing his guitar, and I thought, no, sorry. And he kind of glossed over it. Really high-end cameras filming it. I thought, no, you missed it. That's not how you string the guitar. What are you going to do, right? But it's just inconceivable that anybody... Look at this. This is 50 pips from here to here, right? Now look at this movement here. Imagine you're trading with a 50 pip stop. Now you could get into a lot of these retests here. You could sell up here with a 50 and sell here with a 50 and make 100. The whole time this market is literally going nowhere. For a whole month of nothing. Can you really trade a moving average system during this bullshit? Well, maybe on the 4-hour, 1-hour chart. Then you got to start going, oh, I'm on the 4-hour chart. It looks great. Look at this nice move. It's so hard to think about because you would have to, okay, it's going down. I'm selling every rally in this downtrend, but then look at this. Volatility goes to insanity here. Now you're back to almost, well, you could just creeper gear up now. Because this accumulation phase, all this drama here is, it's either accumulation or distribution. You have to assume it's accumulation. is like you have to, like a highly volatile areas like that, like this is distribution. This total auction here, where it totally engulfs. But the distribution took a place right here. So these things are happening on a scale that doesn't look anything like. There's so many types of distribution, right? There's this little thing here, and then bam, and there's so many little accumulations. Like here's a redistribution because it went sideways here. So you have to assume right now you're in some type of reaccumulation. It's going zigzag. You get a doji on the daily. We just finished a doji today, actually. So even the volatility breakout, people are getting in here. Buy stop, sell stop. They just whichever way the wind blows. It just doesn't happen very often, that's all. So that's kind of a disappointment, you know. But yeah, it's doesn't get any more boring than that. Here's a 1 hour chart. I'm just really figuring out what free music sounds like. This is your mind. This is your mind on free music. Oh boy. It's moving up the charts. Can't get enough of this song. This music to scalp by. That's what I use a scalp with. Not really, just kidding. So, I gotta go get some food. I gotta go check on the Robinacci guy. I gotta go make sure that I gotta go get a Subway sandwich. I'm gonna take a gun with me. Hopefully my account will be at $60,000 by the end of the week. No stops. Stops are for sissies. Risk of ruin is 100%. Okay, man, so thanks for stopping by and watching me trade without stops. Stops are for sissies, damn it.